I know you recognize the person on the screen, and yes, we're going to have a discussion about him once again. Why? It's twofold. The biggest fold in the twofold series is that when you say stuff outside the corner of your mouth, sometimes it needs to be addressed. In this case, it came out the corner of his mouth. The reason so at the corner of his mouth is because when we say something, people have to start really listening because we warn people to, okay, not from what we can do, but we try to warn people to do the right thing. The other fold is where the attack seems to be coming from and trying to be masked, throwing stone, hide your hands kind of thing. Well, we've had a discussion about Mr. Morelli, and if you have not been familiar with our take based on his history, please take a moment to go back and listen to those because I will warn you. This is my warning. Some of the content that we talk about when it regards to him is graphic. Let's put it like that. Very, very graphic. Okay. So I want to warn you there. However, in this video, remember we talked about people talking about Diddy's kids, more so the daughters. Well, you're going to hear, what's the best way to put this? Not a double standard, but a self-rebuttal. Let's put it like that. You're going to hear a self-rebuttal from Mr. Morelli talking about how this is not something while making it something. That's what it is. It ain't anything, so stop talking about it. But in the essence of it not being something, I'm going to talk to you about it not being something by making it something to myself while telling you it's not something. If you're lost, don't worry. I will guide you back on the path very soon with what he's about to say. We're going to have more. It's a lot to flesh out when he says it because it has a lot of social undertones that we do need to address, especially considering this dude's history. All right, here we go.
Now, Diddy's two twin daughters were told off, guys, for very uptight behavior. For what's being reported, that they were actually very rude to conductors and were actually kicked off roller coasters on a theme park. So Diddy's twin daughters found themselves in trouble at a fair because they got booted from a roller coaster, and it was all caught on video, guys, where his 18-year-old twins were spotted at the Orange County Fair. And because they weren't listening, they had their phones on them. This pissed off the staff, who told them 3 times, and they basically refused to listen because they did not care.
Okay, first off, I understand the need. Here it is, the need to report stuff that would bring views. I do get it. It's social media, and the urge is to try and be. It's not clickbait. It's engaging. Listen, you feel a need to be engaging, and some of us go to the extreme to engage audiences. Case in point, and enter the room, please, Mr. Morelli. Now, we've talked before about there are cases against the sons. Talk about the sons that cases are against. But what there's never been are cases or any mention of the daughters. Now, many podcasters out there, one in particular, would much rather look at this scenario and just tell them, F you, kids. We're not that podcast. And people like Morelli will come at you and tell you that this is the story about these 2 daughters. But then wants to come back after he says that first line to tell you something else. Now, our thought process, if nothing is there, then maybe say that at the onset, and you'll hear what we're talking about. But we all know why he led with what he led with, because it sells. He doesn't mind using children to do that, because especially if you hate the parents, why not? Now, you heard what he said. Now let's find out what he says he actually thinks.
Sources with direct knowledge say that Diddy's daughters were not kicked out of the fair and they were given tickets to take the ride at a later time. However, conductors have come out to say otherwise, saying that they were being rude, disrespectful, and, didn't want to put their phones away. I don't know why this is news, to be honest with you, because they both are 18, and we all know that you're at the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, you're going to be a bit rude to somebody. You're not going to listen to them. You're going to keep being on your phone. Like, all of this stuff is normal behavior for somebody of that age.
Hold on, Murad. I want to make sure I get this right. It's not a story. No need to report on it. But you lead off with the report almost as though it's true, and not just true, relevant. Not just relevant, something that you should report on. to come back and say it's not worth being reported on, pick one. Now, I think we know the reason why you really did report on it, and we'll get to that in a minute. We do know the reason why. We can see through it. But I want you to just continue fleshing out. And when you hear it, I think y'all will know exactly where we're going to go once you hear it. Trust me, you'll hear it.
They are teenagers. I don't think this needed to be reported by TMZ and multiple outlets because this is not their sons. When it's their elder sons, beloveds, I don't even need a watch on me, and I can tell you that I have all the time for their elder sons.
Did you catch it? Did you catch? Let's catch it together. If you have all the time for the sons, then maybe if you see a story about the daughters and you don't think we should bring them in because they're just kids, maybe don't report on it. You see, but we know, Morelli, what you're actually doing. You do want to throw shades to the daughter, but you're trying to do it in a covert way. You see, if you can throw and hide your hands, like I said earlier, you look like the person that's saying, oh, look at what they're doing over there. This was what happened to the girls. And so you're telling us what happened, then telling us that these people shouldn't have done it. It was a non sequitur, but you're reporting on it too. So should it have been reported? And should you be regurgitating it in the way you did? You know what you could have done? You could have lead off with that statement first and then go in, this is what I mean, but you didn't do that. We know why, though, because you're still exploiting them. I'll get into the dangers of that in a second, Murad. Trust me, it's dangerous. Not for us, for you.
Understand? But when it comes to the daughters and people who in their teenager years, I don't think this is that serious of a story about them basically being irresponsible. I don't know who produced this story. Well, we know TMZ produced it, but I wonder why they pushed this, because TMZ are very pro Diddy. So they wouldn't be coming after his children some kind of way, but it looks like they're doing so by throwing shade. And I do feel like Diddy's contacts in-house perhaps could be either turning against him or basically throwing some kind of shade. Because
this is how I know you didn't think this through. TMZ is anything but pro Diddy. In fact, if you are privy to their last few videos, they were laughing, kind of like you, ironically, at the fact that Diddy wanted to spend time with his kids. Yeah, they laughed at that. In fact, they made a whole mockery of it. So how are they pro Diddy? You see, here's a problem. Here's a problem, Red. You have a basic issue. Anytime you can find to attack black families, it seems like you just chomp at the bit to do it. You have time for the sons. There's nothing going on, first of all. But if you found something, you just have to report on it. And you shouldn't be reporting on the daughter while still reporting on the daughters. And in some way, shape, and form, you have to paint them initially as the bad people before you come back and say, well, it's not a story. I noticed what you didn't say. You didn't say, leave them alone because they're not the sons. You just said this story isn't worth covering. We'll get into the dangers in a second.
Because I find this to be very intriguing that this has come out, because I find it to be basically a dumb story, in my opinion. Because they're teenagers, guys. Like, it is what it is. It's not that serious. It's really not that serious.
It's really not that serious. If it's not that serious, why would you cover it? Now for the danger, sir. Here comes the danger. It's twofold. One to the Diddy side and one to the black side. Typical teenage behavior, I could take that for many ways, but you're not talking about typical teenagers. Okay. Are you meaning that to mean black, or just any teenager would do that? That's the first thing. Secondarily, and that's the first danger. Secondarily, if Diddy really is the kind of person that you and many others say he is, do you really want to take the risk of talking about his daughters at all? Like even remotely mentioning them? Outside of saying they were there at the courtroom, they were there to support their pops. Do you really want to report on anything about them, especially considering how you view their... Do you see any problem here? Now, remember, you say he's a killer. He's a violent individual. He's toxic. Look, the man is anything short of Satan. He might even be above Satan in y'all's book. I don't know. But if that's the case, I can't believe that you believe that. Yeah. Because there's no way you could. If you did, you would never talk about it, because you know why? He would come after you for that too. Remember, he's a dangerous man, right? Very dangerous. And considering how you've spoken about blacks, I mean, think about it, Mr. Morelli. You really want this on your back? Hey, not how we think. This is how you think. Look, we've been saying this for a while, right? That this individual has an agenda, and the agenda has always been division. And even in the matter of him trying to hide and say, well, let's leave him, it's a teenage thing, don't worry about it. This is how they normally do anyway. But you still made it an issue by bringing it to the forefront when you could have just said nothing. Make up your mind. But I know why you couldn't leave it alone. Because just like you say about throwing shade, you had to, you couldn't help it. You needed to have something be said about his daughters. My question is why? Now you say this is something that no one should be talking about, but aren't you the same one that dogged the fact that they were even at the hearing? Weren't you one of the bigger proponents of them not being there? They shouldn't be there. Why are they supporting somebody like that? They should know the truth about their dad. Weren't you one of those people? So I want to make sure I get this abundantly right. They shouldn't support their pops. Don't talk about them in the media. But now you talk about them in the media, and other people are for their pops. When I tell you my head spins when I think about these people, it spins. It absolutely goes in a whirl. I don't understand. I don't understand the fascination behind the man's daughters. I really don't. But, and this goes for TMZ too. I do not understand your fascination with trying to demonize his daughters in any way, shape, form, fashion, and any chance you get, simply because of who their pops is. Well, here's our suggestion, Murad. And this is, I hope you take this to heart. I really do. We don't want to see nobody go through anything that they, could avoid. Stop talking about the dude's family. Just stop. If you want to talk about Diddy, talk about Diddy. Here's the biggest issue, bro. You run into a major buzzsaw if Diddy is the person you say he is. If you say he has no off switch and he's willing to do anything, you run a risk for yourself by going after the innocent ones in this scenario. That's his daughters. You are running a massive risk by doing that. You don't have to take our word for it. You don't have to take our advice. You don't have to listen to us at all. However, if the didster come out and he said to himself, who was out here talking about my family? You in some hot water. Now, the first fold. Why is it that people like Morelli feel so freely about speaking about things that he has absolutely no history with when it comes to black family? Why is it that with his history of all things, does he feel so comfortable doing what he's doing? Well, I can tell you exactly, and this is the part that's going to upset a lot of people. You want to know why he feels comfortable? We let him. Yeah. You see, his biggest audience are the exact same people that he dogs all the time. It's so funny. His entire content is destroying, demonizing, devaluing, dehumanizing blacks, and the majority of his audience are black, saying that we shouldn't be devalued, dehumanized, and degraded. I don't know how you make that one. I look, what I have to admit that he's probably just a good salesman. If you can convince me that I am going to hear you talk about me and mine in the most derogatory, defamatory way you can, and then tell me, now support me, and I do it, you're a great salesman. Like the top of the line salesman. You could sell sand in the desert. You could sell water in the ocean. You could sell sand in a sand dune. You are that good. And that's Murad, because he managed to convert many people in one area of life to look down on themselves and others simply because he did in his own sexual revolution days and still does. but talks about Diddy. Has no kids, but talks about kids. Hates them, but makes money off of them. Way to go. And for those of you that support him in this nonsense, and it is nonsense, I will say it, it's nonsense, but then want to turn around and talk about the oppression that you have, just realize that he is contributing to the oppression that you say you have. Because he's putting out into the ether stories that make you look bad. In return, that story going out to make you look bad will bring other people to look bad upon you. Hence, what? Making your so-called oppression more and more available to you. But we listen to him, right? Every story he puts out paints black people in the most horrific light. So what do you expect if he has the reach he has? What do you expect people to think of black people? Not the worst? So if they think the worst, thanks to him, how do you expect them to treat you? Like the worst, right? So who do you think is contributing most to what you think you're feeling, or even what you are feeling? People like him. Quite the circle. Not even Lion King circle of life. This is like the circle of life for engine oil. Get all used up, swap you out. But hey, all we do is try to point it out to you. And we sold you. We're going to point this out until the dogs come home. As long as he's doing this nonsense, we're going to keep exposing it. Yep. It really don't matter who's doing it. But right now, he's the biggest proponent of it because he has the biggest traction. And where others are not going to say it, we will. We don't care. We're going to point it out, and we will not hold punches because this needs to be addressed. Agree or disagree, let us know. But if you do disagree, please tell me to what extent you disagree and why you would disagree, because I would love to hear that argument. That's the one I want to hear. After what we've shown you about this dude and that piss poor excuse, pardon the term, considering his history, that he gave you for a apology. And look, if you buy it, you buy it. But here's what you can't do, no, man. You can't tell us that he had me blind. No, we were told you. We told you everything about it, and you decide to ignore it. He's making money off your suffering, laughing in your faces all the way to the bank, and will keep coming after you. See if he makes any real content about anybody else that he say is doing stuff to you. He won't, because he's the one doing it. All in the name of tea. Phew. Anyway, look forward to hearing your comments on this one. And then for those of you who might think we're petty, okay, then we're petty. But if this is the level that you judge petty at, we'll take it. We will. We have no problem taking petty. But with that being said, as petty as you might think it is, if it were really that petty, he also wouldn't be talking about it. So obviously it's not that petty. So we'll keep doing it. Thank you for your concern, though. And to the rest of you who agree, please leave your comments below. To those who disagree, please leave your comments below. To those of you who are neutral and waiting to see how this hits the fan, well, leave your comments below.